What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's start off. We got some major breaking news when it comes to MLB Free Agency. The New York Mets deal with shortstop Carlos Correa has fallen through, and he has agreed to a 6-year, $200 million deal with the Minnesota Twins. Not sure you can see my shirt, but it's a Mets shirt. I've mentioned many times on the show I'm a Mets fan. For my take on it, I did want Carlos Correa. I am slightly disappointed that he will not be joining the New York Mets. Obviously, Steve Cohen was very public that this put them over the top, and he was kind of right. And I've envisioned how amazing their line would be. Maybe the best line in the league with Carlos Correa. That being said, clearly there is something wrong with his medicals. If a deal with the deal with the Giants, which was 13 years for $350 million. That fell through because of some sort of injury problem. Then he signed with the Mets, 12 years, $350 million. They had a standoff for about almost 3 weeks because of a medical problem, the same medical problem the Giants had. And then he re-engaged with the Twins, and he just signed with a 6-year, $200 million deal with the Twins. First of all, Correa, he lost 6 years, and from his first contract with the Giants, he lost a total of 7 years and $150 million. So he's signing for the original deal with the Giants, $150 million less. It's still $115 million less than the one he had signed with the New York Mets. Supposed to be 12 or 13 years, he gets 6 years. Also, if you join for Giants probably go to the playoffs. I don't think it's a doubt in anyone's mind. Giants with Correa, they're in the playoffs. But the Mets, the Mets are probably a World Series contender. Without Correa, Mets are, I would say, a playoff contender, might win their division. That division is going to be very, very tough because you have Atlanta should be just as good. And then now the Phillies loaded up, so at the very least they should be in the playoffs, a shot to win the division. With him, probably are the favorite in that division and could come out of the National League. To the Twins, without Correa, I don't see them being too much better than 500. With Correa, they might get to the playoffs. I'm not even sure they make the playoffs with Correa, to be honest, because he was there. They had him last year, and they didn't get in. Didn't win the worst division in baseball last year. So what I'm hearing is the Mets, they guaranteed the first 6 years of a deal, but he earned less money in the first 6 years of the Mets than the 6-year deal with the Twins. And the last 6 years of the deal with the Mets was conditionally guaranteed. So he would have to play a certain amount of game or something like that to have those years be even earn a certain amount of money. So he actually technically makes $42.5 million more than the Twins. He could have made. The method, does not, obviously when I say conditionally guaranteed, I know it doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't even know what that means totally, to be honest. That's the most details that were released about that. Something obviously went on behind the scenes. Obviously, there was so many things going on. The Mets were, you're going back and forth for God knows how long. It's like 19 or 20 days. 19 or 20 days ago was when the deal was reported that the Mets were signing Correa. Obviously, now he's going to the Twins. But they said, John Heyman posted on Twitter that Correa has gotten past the major part of his physical, which includes the ankle, which has been a huge problem. So no reason why that deal shouldn't be completed very shortly. One, John Heyman has not been known for being right all the time. We saw what happened with Aaron Judge. Second of all, we know Correa and physicals haven't exactly worked out this offseason. So I assume that deal will go through, but at this point, I don't think anything should be counted out. So the deal should happen. Well, but first of all, who do I play for, the Mets or the Twins? I know the Mets, as an organization, have made mistakes over the years. Last year they had a bit of a collapse, and they probably should have been at least the NLCS, and they lost in the wild card round. Terrible ending to the year. The Mets last year had 101 wins, or looked even better on paper this year. Compared to the Twins, who last year had, 83 or 84 wins, maybe? Didn't even make the playoffs. Didn't really do too much else besides re-sign Carlos Correa. who were really just fell into their lap. They offered him 10 years for 285 earlier in the offseason. He said no. And then originally he agreed with the Giants, and then that fell through. Then he agreed with the Mets, then that fell through. And then the Twins were like, wait a minute. He's stuck because they probably saw the Mets deal was going to fall through. They're like, all right, do has the much of a choice that they can get him off cheap. So they gave him 6 for 200. He could get, if he has 502 plate appearances in year 6, he can get a 7th year, which will earn him $25 million. And then he can get an 8th year, depending on if he reaches certain things in his contract, which I think could push the deal to about $270 million. So it could not be, I think, for as much as 8 for 270, but fully guaranteed 6 for 200. So it was a bit of a weird deal, but obviously it's a very weird situation. Again, as a Met fan, I wanted him. He's a great player when he's healthy, but 12 years, the money I don't have that much of a problem with. I mean, he's making, like, I'm not even sure if he's making $30 million a year. I'm awful at math, so like you gotta pay for guys like that, and that's what they were trying to do. I mean, obviously, Cohen spent a incredible amount of money, even without the Correa deal. He has still spent, I think, close to $500 million on free agents this year. Their payroll is still like probably over $350 million with luxury tax penalties. They're still over $400 million. The payroll is still ginormous. They've still spent a ton of money this offseason. They still have a huge payroll, by far the most in the league still. It is what it is. I wanted them. It's a little disappointing, but at the same time, the back half idea would have been a disaster for the Mets. So it is what it is. They still have a good team. They'll still be in the playoffs this year. I don't have many doubts about that. With Correa, didn't see any reason why they would win the division. Now the open door for Atlanta to possibly win again, maybe even Philadelphia. But they still on paper have a very good team. So I am still happy with where the offseason went. I still think they had a very good offseason, and they are in very good shape going into the year. So we'll see what happens. Other free agency news. Had some other minor signings. Johnny Cueto earlier today agreed to a 1-year, $8.5 million deal with the Marlins, plus a team option for 2024. That's interesting because the Marlins have been talking about maybe trading one of their young starters, maybe Pablo Lopez, and then sign Johnny Cueto to fill out the rotation. Obviously they haven't made any trades yet, but they decided to make the move to acquire Cueto now. So that opens the door for maybe a guy like Pablo Lopez to be traded. So we'll see. But Cueto's still a solid innings leader. They signed him for a year. Brandon Belt signs with the Toronto Blue Jays, 1 year, $9.3 million. Have been in San Francisco's entire career. Last year, a lot of injuries, only played like 80 games, 89 games. Didn't have a great year, a lot of injuries, but he's a guy who can still hit right-handed pitching. He's always been a good defender at first. Against right-handers, he might do some designated hitting. Because especially after they trade Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel this offseason. So he'll probably get some DH work. And, if they want to give Vladimir Guerrero Jr. a day off, they could put him at first. So he'll probably be able to tune the DH in first. He can play left field. Hasn't played it since 2019, but has played left field 89 times in his career. So Toronto adds him. Giants add Luke Jackson, 2 years, $11.5 million to their bullpen. He's a guy who did not pitch last year because of Tommy John, but last time he did pitch in 2021, he had a sub-2 ERA for the Atlanta Braves. Might miss the start of the season, but should have him by the early portion of the season. Giants add him to their bullpen. Corey Dickerson goes to Washington, 1 year, $2.25 million. Veteran outfielder. He's a left-hander. He's older now, but still a solid hitter. Last year hit like 270 for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a good outfielder. He's got good speed, can get on base. So Washington adds him. He'll probably have a spot in their starting outfield and see if he gets flipped at the trade deadline. Yeah, the Angels signed Brett Phillips, 1 year, $1.2 million, so he'll probably be their 4th outfielder. And then the Toronto Blue Jays make a trade, a minor trade. They trade for Zach Thompson, who's a pitcher who struggled last year with the Pirates. He had over 5. That was the year prior with the Marlins in his rookie year as a swingman was actually pretty good. So Toronto gets some pitching depth, and we actually have interesting news. John Capalella, the former Braves GM who was suspended permanently in 2017, was reinstated by Major League Baseball. He was actually reinstated. That's interesting. Not sure if anyone will bring him into their front office, but he was reinstated. He was suspended 2017 for life. For in 2015 and 2016, he broke a lot of rules when it comes to signing international free agents. Braves were not allowed to sign anybody over $10,000. So over, I think it was actually, I think over $10,000 or something like that for comes to international free agents. They lost 2 guys they had signed, and they lost a 3rd-round draft pick in the upcoming draft. So, but he has been reinstated by MLB. So we'll see if someone gives him a second chance. On to the NHL. Your scores from last night: Flyers over the Sabres 4-0. Kraken over the Canadiens 4-0. Predators over the Senators 3-0. And the Kings over the Oilers 6-3. It's all we had from the NHL last night. When it comes to college basketball, March Madness is probably a little over 2 months away. Alcorn State over Alabama State 92-76. Morgan State over South Carolina State 90-85. Yeah, a lot of not so great teams playing each other last night. None of these games were really good at all. You had Colgate over Army 77-75. Robert Morris over IUPUI. I don't even know what that stands for. 77-70. North Carolina Central over Coppin State 64-59. Chicago State over East West University. East West University is the name of your school. That's just terrible. 90-70. Maryland Eastern. The rest of the name is cut off. This is ridiculous against Howard. Maryland Eastern was 82-73. Norfolk State over Delaware State 70-65. New Mexico over Oral Roberts 82-75. You had Jackson State over Alabama A&M 72-64. Mississippi Valley State over Texas Southern 71-67. Grambling over Florida A&M 62-57. Southern over Bethune-Cookman 102-75. And Arkansas Pine Bluff over Prairie View A&M 63-55. They had the SWAC was playing in the Patriot Conference. So were playing. A lot of those two were playing last night. A lot of not so good games. Doubt anyone will watch those games. On to NBA. So let's talk about some actual good basketball. Pelicans over the Warriors 132-112. CJ McCollum had 34 points. Pelicans right now down Zion, who's out for a few weeks. You had Celtics over the Bulls 107-99. Jason Tatum 32 points in that one. Bulls continue to roll. Bucks over the Knicks 111-107. Giannis had 22 points, 10 rebounds. Jalen Brunson's 44 points in the loss. My Knicks got very close. They're up 16 late in the 3rd quarter, but couldn't hold on. Knicks got to hold on to some of these leads. Grizzlies over the Spurs 121-113. Tyus Jones had 24 points in that one. Grizzlies have won 7 in a row. Nuggets over the Lakers 122-109. Jokic 14 points, 11 boards, 16 assists. He had a triple-double. Lakers 5-game win streak is snapped. And then the Kings over the Magic 136-111. Harrison Barnes had 30 points. And with the NFL head coach carousel going on, we got right now 5 openings. Of course, Denver, Carolina, and Indianapolis. Houston Texans fire Lovie Smith, and then you have Arizona Cardinals fire Cliff Kingsbury. They're all doing interviews right now. Haven't heard too much about who's interviewing for the Arizona job. Their D corner, Vance Joseph's a candidate. I don't know why. He's not that good of a coach. I would have fired him even if Cliff Kingsbury didn't get fired. Their defense was horrible this year. He was horrible as a head coach in Denver a few years back, but he's a candidate. And they also mentioned, Sean Payton was mentioned as a candidate. Nothing has materialized yet, but we'll see what happens. Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing got fired. Like they both fired a bunch of guys on his staff, including Todd Downing. And the Browns fired their defensive coordinator, Joe Woods. 2 moves we kind of saw coming. Only other coordinators we have so far is that the Packers appear that they will be bringing back defensive coordinator Joe Barry, who probably saved his job with the defense stepping up the last 5 weeks of the season. And Matt LaFleur said do not rule out bringing back Nathaniel Hackett, who was their offensive coordinator for 2 years before his failed stint with Denver as a head coach. So hopefully I get some more on that tomorrow. I'm not sure what happened with any other head coach jobs. We might see some other firings. If Dallas loses on Monday, Mike McCarthy's probably gone. Could Todd Bowles go? despite winning the division because they only won 8-9. Dan Taylor, New Orleans probably comes back. Not guaranteed he probably comes back. I mean, the Raiders should fire Justin Daniels. Will they? Is the question. So we will see what happens. Only other news I have for you guys is that Johnny Gargano from WWE, he's got an AC joint injury. So that's why he's not wrestling right now. Hopefully he gets better soon. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.